Don't want to give money to the oligarchs, but love Lobbing Scorchers? Do we have a deal for you? MLS Season Pass is back on Apple TV with access to every single MLS match, including Leagues Cup and the entire Audi MLS Cup playoffs with no blackouts. It's not just the games, you get total access to the pre- and post-match MLS 360 whip-around show in both English and Spanish, and get live look-ins and highlights from around the league, as well as full match replays and recaps. Now, you can support our show by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV to purchase your subscription and support our show.
Lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV. Please, don't let the oligarchs win.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome in to a belated Tuesday edition of Lobbing Scorchers Kickoff. I'm Ari. That's Nico. Thank you for bearing with all the schedule changes this weekend and this week. But you know, Nico, I got into Seattle, back to Seattle late last night. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but I figured, you know what, if Nico can lay down one of these shows after pulling an all-nighter, being on the Ryan Kent beat, then I can do one of these on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. So excited to talk some Seattle Sounders, MLS, maybe some CONCACAF Champions Cup with you this morning, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Just happy that you're back home, that you got here safe. And, man, I'm sure that the audience is very appreciative of your effort to get this kickoff going on. A little delayed, but here we are. We know that you guys wanted to likely hear what we had to say and kind of break down a little bit of the ups and downs, I guess, that the last game had. Obviously more good than bad. So, yeah, man, I'm excited, especially after a win on the road.
I know it's only the second show about a win that we've gotten to do all season. So that's always a nice little boost, isn't it? There's been a lot of negativity around the city lately around this team. But let's start right there. Seattle Sounders 1-0 victory at FC Dallas, and I haven't got to catch up with you about this game yet. Not the most resounding, emphatic blowout victory I've ever seen, but I think a very necessary result, not just for the points, Nico. I think just for the psychological boost, you know, helping the morale a little bit. Moose getting on the score sheet, which was great to see given the commentary that surrounded him this season. I guess just to start it off here, what were your initial thoughts and takeaways coming off this 1-0 result at FC Dallas?
Yeah, much needed win for everything you just mentioned. Mainly the psychological, the mentality component of it all. Give this team confidence that things are not going to always go wrong, and there's not going to be a point in the game where you're just going to get a late equalizer. There's going to be an own goal or a penalty kick or whatever it may be, that this team just kind of felt like it had this weight upon them that did not allow them to really manage a game, whether they had the lead or they did not have the lead. And in this one, they get one early, which is always a little bit, it's good, but it makes you think of all the things that could possibly go wrong after that. But going back to the mentality component, like you said, Moose getting on the scoreboard is huge. Hoping that a guy that at times looks serviceable and that can potentially be your one and only option at the 9, unless you can really get Ferreira going at some point of the season to play there, is huge. Pedro de la Vega getting back and looking as sharp as he did is huge. A boost of confidence for that entire attack. For Pedro himself, I think he needed to get out there and keep going on where he left off before the injury, right? He was so good to start off the season. He was so good in CCC, a guy that was my breakout candidate of the year. I still think that he's my breakout candidate for the year. I'll stick to it. And everything in this game just showed you that you need that sort of player, right? I mean, his ability on the ball, his mid-range shots, everything that he provides you just is important. Even his counter pressing and some of the moments that I thought, although they're not on the stat sheet, that effort, that second win to get to certain places, I thought he was outstanding. And finally, the defense being able to just finally get a clean sheet, being able to feel like they are this quality squad in the back end that in this one, maybe the one challenged a lot. And, Jeremiah and I kind of talked about a Dallas team that, the main quality is that they can stay in every game, but offensively, they just are obviously not the team that might put you on your heels. And Luciano Acosta has not looked like Luciano Acosta all season because of the system, because of the way they play, and mainly because of everything that surrounds you. I mean, you're just not playing with the same quality players that he was at Cincinnati. But regardless of, big win, big boost. I think Seattle should be more than happy. Brian, I think, kind of had the same mentality after the post-game conference. Very happy to get the win. Could do some things better, but no one is going to shy away from honestly saying, hey, we needed that win.
Yeah, I think you hit on all the positives right there. But for me, the biggest positives coming out of this game, like you said, De La Vega coming back, and not just coming back, but looking like he was looking before the injury. He creates that goal just by Matt Doyle, I think, called it just like the screw it, I'm just going to shoot mentality. And that's what De La Vega has been bringing to the table when he's played this season that they don't really have from another player. Not just like the gumption to try a shot like that, but just the creativity that he brings and just sort of the dynamic way that he's looked when he's been on the field this year. I thought he picked up pretty much where he left off. And like, I just don't know if anyone else is lining up a shot like that and able to hit it as accurately as he did. And that is what caused the Moose goal, which that's the other positive. I think Moose getting on the score sheet. It was nice to see him get rewarded for the good positionings he's been getting in, the runs he's been making. It's been frustrating to watch because he's been in these good spots and then he's just not finishing. People are going to say that it doesn't count because it was a rebound and he was wide open. But that a goal like that is all about positioning and timing, right? And like a good striker, that's they stay on side like Moose did, and they also make sure to make that run and be ready for the rebound in case that happens. So it's good positioning by Moose. It's a heads up play by Moose, and that's a good striker's goal. So I don't want to hear about how like it didn't count because it was a rebound. It's a good goal by Moose. Give Moose his credit. I'm going to give him his credit. And then what do you think of Frere in this game? Because Nico, basically my thing is that if it's going to be a longer adaptation process than we would have hoped or anticipated, I can live with that. Like, it's not a guarantee when you have a new player on a new team that they're going to slide in and look like the best versions of themselves right off rip. I was hoping that would happen faster because of his experience within the league and his experience playing with a couple of guys on this team with the national team. But if that's not going to happen, I can live with it being an adaptation process, but I just want to see like meaningful progress from 1 week to the next week. And I felt like that we hadn't been seeing that. I felt like it was sort of stagnating, spinning the wheels is the term that I used with Sam Hale. And I honestly felt like it did look a little better in this game in the second half when he was playing the 9 a little bit. He was making a couple runs where they actually found him, and he took a couple shots, Nico. He took a couple shots. I think he took two shots. So low bar, but that's where the bar's at right now. And I think I was at least a little encouraged by what I saw from him, just in the fact that he looked dangerous at all, like we haven't been seeing that. So that was good to see. What did you make of Ferreira's performance? I guess throughout the game, coming back to his old team and all the emotions that come with that. But then in the second half, where I thought it picked up a little bit.
Yeah. Before I touch up on Ferreira, just two things about two very good points that you had. One is Musovski. What you said was exactly what I was thinking, but it was also the finish, right? It's not easy to get that ball at that speed from your foot.
Really not like that. He made it look easy, but it's actually when it's coming back at you with that type of pace, it's real easy to miss that. And imagine the discourse if he had missed that.
Yeah, and and he also did other things that I thought were positive. He gets a second goal, which was slightly off, if not maybe not even off. He was all the hard work rate that you saw from him and you see from him consistently was there. I thought he was a little bit better, or a lot better, in the link up play and doing other things. And then on Pedro, I will push back on Doyle's statement simply because Pedro worked on this all week. Pedro, he hit those exact same, from where he shot that, he hit that 3 times in a row. He hit it, and it was 4 times out of, I want to say 6, 7 opportunities, with the fans watching in the upper deck of the Swedish and Providence Clubhouse Performance Center. And he was working on that, and that's part of his tool shed. He could do that consistently. You saw him maybe get a little bit ambitious in the one play where he gets the ball back and he had Rothrock kind of in. He could have probably slipped him through, but he decides to take a shot, and that one kind of goes way off with his right foot. But he does have that capability, so I don't think he was so much a screw it, I'm going to hit it. It's, I have this, and if I get the smallest space at this area of the field on top of the 18, I'm going to put it away. And I feel like that's more encouraging, because it is not something that is a resource just out of a moment. It's something that you're going to continue to look for. And that goes more to the coaching staff as well, because you saw Roldan and you saw Ovid looking for those same shots, because you knew Daz was going to give you those spaces. So that's a couple of important points that I thought I wanted to get out there. And then in terms of Ferreira, it was better. And, I was hoping for the best game of the season for him. Don't know if I would necessarily put it there, but he got into good positions. I thought that he was influential. I think he contributed. I wish he would have done better on both of the opportunities he got. One was that little layover by Danny Leyva where he chips over the defender. He falls to Ferreira. I kind of wish he would have maybe taken a touch, maybe pulled it into his other foot, tried to get a better angle on that shot. I felt like he kind of just shot it to shoot it. But at least I like that he's getting on those positions. And that only will show that slow progress that you're talking about. I still, though, think that you're not going to get the amount of real estate or enough for your buck unless you are able to play him at the 9, which sucks, because right now it feels like it's just not going to work out at all, simply because if you do have him either playing wide or in those 2 pockets behind the striker in the 3-man setup, 3-back setup, there's going to be just too many players where at the end Ferreira might just be a super sub coming on, because you got Pedro, you got Albert, who is the Sharpie, and he's always going to be in regardless of what happens if he's healthy. So Pedro right now looks above him in that. And then Ryan Kent has looked so good in practice that when he gets in, he might be the 3rd guy in if Ferreira doesn't contribute a little bit more. So, the depth is great. I will continue to die on the hill of, in a salary cap space league, you want to have those players that are taking the biggest pie of the salary producing for you. But hey, I guess at the very least is a good problem to have if the other players are competing for starting minutes. But to conclude the whole thing, I thought that there was some progress. It wasn't brilliant again, but I thought that he looked better than he did against San Diego for sure.
Yeah, not saying it was the greatest, most virtuoso performance of soccer that I've ever seen, but the bar is pretty low right now. The bar is pretty low. I just, at this point with it, I just want to see it look a little bit better incrementally from week to week, get to a point where they at least know how to get something out of him. They haven't gotten really anything out of him other than a few assists yet, but like goal scoring wise, they haven't gotten anything out of him. So I felt like this game, they at least got closer to that. Like I said, I realize that's a low bar. That's where we're at. I had a similar thought to you, honestly, as far as, when the team gets healthier, what is his role going to look like? And I had the same super sub thought, which isn't ideal, but I don't know. The more, from what I've seen this season, I'm kind of having a hard time seeing how he and Rusnak can play together. Like, that seems like way too overlapped in this kind of stuff that they want to do. So they either need to figure out how to get them to not occupy the same spaces and like try to play the same role essentially, or yeah, like when Rusnak's starting, then Ferreira is probably going to be a super sub, and De La Vega, I think you have to start De La Vega right now, assuming health. So yeah, I agree with pretty much what you said there. But you mentioned Ryan Kent. Let's talk about Ryan Kent and Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris was supposed to play in this game, and then Schmetzer said after the game that he was the hamstring like tightened up on him a little bit in pregame when he was running around pregame. That's not what you want to hear. But he said that it doesn't necessarily, it's not like he re-aggravated it and necessarily has to miss more time. It was more a thing where he just kind of felt a little something and was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't push this. I might re-aggravate this. But as I understand what Schmetz said, he hasn't re-aggravated it yet. It was more of a precautionary thing. So before we talk about Ryan Kent, like, do you have any understanding or insight on what was up with that, or if the plan is still to have Jordan return for this Nashville game?
Yeah, not at this time, but I don't have any additional information, but it is, in my opinion, a positive sign that whether it is the staff or Jordan himself who brought this up as a concern, because that's exactly what creates a bigger problem, right? If you don't catch that at that moment and you have him out there, it takes one sprint, it takes one explosive moment where you blow up that injury and re-aggravate it. And, instead of you being questionable for Nashville, now you're out again 2 to 3 weeks. So I thought that was good awareness by the team or Jordan in that regard. I do believe that they're being cautious with Jordan, and they should continue to be cautious with him. So if that tightness was something of the moment, or if it was something that was related to also you being in a very, you travel, you kind of move things around from your everyday sort of environment, that at times messes with things like that, with the sort of injuries. So we'll see where that kind of lays out. I'm not concerned to the point of thinking, hey, he might not play against Nashville, but maybe you don't start him depending on how he does this week. Monitored him pretty closely is probably what you're going to see. But I would love to see him with Ryan Kent, who obviously apparently got everything taken care of, who did not make the flight to Dallas. I kind of asked Brian, I thought it was kind of a light sort of question, but he was not necessarily take it like that.
You got all frosty with you. I thought that was random too. Like, you ask questions a lot that it makes sense that they get frosty, but like,
yeah,
you were like,
I don't know if he didn't like it. I don't know if he was just annoyed. Maybe he just wanted to get on the plane and he didn't think it was the moment for it. Maybe, could be a fair thought, but I just wanted to know, maybe I should have rephrased it in the sense of, hey, you said he was going to travel to Dallas, or you thought that there was a possibility. How did that whole thing kind of play out? Maybe it's on me. But yeah, I mean, long story short, we know that Ryan Kent is ready and available in terms of paperwork. What we don't know, per Brian, he said he's got to go through a whole week of training, and that's just protocol. So we'll see. I think he will. He's looked the part. He's looked fit. So I don't foresee anything aside from a setback or an issue or an injury, that he would definitely be available for Nashville game. I don't know if he'd start. I don't think that would necessarily be the case, but he'll certainly be part of it. The other component here is, where is Albert at this week? And I think that would also maybe add on to whether Ryan does start or not. So it's going to be a very newsworthy week here in Seattle training.
Wade, thank you for the $2 super chat. He said, hey, Nico, any update on Ryan Kent? Laugh emoji. I think he's making a reference to your interaction with Schmetz. Thanks for that, Wade. That was a good bit. I'm excited to watch Ryan Kent this weekend. Hopefully, I think one thing that we've learned that we might have already known, but really has been reinforced to start the season is just how important Jordan Morris is to this team. Not just with the finishing, but the play style, the type of runs that he's able to make. They're going to need to figure out a better plan B than they showed these first few weeks of the season, because it really, without Jordan Morris in the lineup, it didn't look like they really had much of a plan B at all, to be honest with you. So
look, a couple of things. First of all, I think it'd be a mistake to pull the plug on Ferreira at the 9. I think that there's still a world where, in my opinion, my humble opinion, no Brian Smetzer, I'm no Brian Smetzer, but under the 4-2-3-1 with Pedro and Kent, two guys, or maybe Pedro and let's go Pedro and Kent. They're the two guys that I think are going to be most dangerous on the ball, that are going to have the ability to be real references inside the 18, crash in the box, have the quality to put goals away. I think that there is a universe and a way where Ferreira at the false 9 can be effective. And I hope that's the case because of what you just said. It looked like Musovski was out because of a strategic. They said there was no injury, but I don't know. He was holding on to that leg a little bit long there before he was pulled out. So we'll see what that is. He's had some back issues. So what happens if you don't have him? You need to have a better plan, like you said, and you can't wait for that injury to come, and you can't expect Jordan Morris to play every minute of every game. So even if you have to force it a little bit, you gotta see what Ferreira looks like. Because look, I love Paul Rothrock, but put him at the 9 or Georgie, that's just not a solution. That's just a bandage. That is a bandage.
That's throwing darts, which is fine, I guess.
Exactly.
But that's what you're doing. Like, it's not like a real plan. Like, that's just you're throwing darts and hoping it sticks. Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying about Ferreira, and I think that has to be plan A of what the plan B would be. But I will tell you something that I found concerning, which is I was talking to Sam Hale on our pregame stream of the FC Dallas radio network, and I was talking to him about Ferreira because he's been covering FC Dallas basically Ferreira's entire career, and it was hilarious, honestly, how exact the narrative surrounding Ferreira at FC Dallas was compared to what it is now here. I literally just started the dialogue by asking Sam, what is Jesus Ferreira's position? That was it. That's all I asked. What position is he? And he was like, I don't know. I don't really know. Is he a 9? Is he a false 9? Is he a 10? We played him out wide here some, and that kind of worked, but not really. He was literally saying the exact same stuff. And so to me, I honestly didn't realize that this stuff has kind of been to the extent that this stuff was an issue his career at FC Dallas. The exact same stuff that we're talking about Seattle is the exact same conversations they've been having in Frisco for a few years. Now, I will say, we talked a little bit about what they did at FC Dallas that did make him effective. And it is not a situation where they were debating his position his whole career and he was never scoring goals, because he scored 50 plus for them. He had an 18 goal season where he made best 11. So clearly they did figure out a way to unlock him. And we did talk about that a little bit, but towards the end of Ferreira's FC Dallas run, it was sort of the same situation where he was coming back from injury and they were like, we don't really, however he fits isn't really working. He's sort of a tweener between the 9 and the 10, but like, he's definitely not a 9 because he's occupying the same spaces as the 10. That was a thing too. Like, when I was telling him how he gets in Rusnak's space, he was like, oh, yep. He said, I feel like I'm on the therapist couch talking about like, so anyway, I didn't realize that, but it's the same thing, Nico. Like, it's literally, they had the same issue.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I've been questioning moves around it. And although I'm extremely happy about getting a guy like Ryan Kent that just ups your ceiling, the question still remains of whether, if you knew that you had in Ferreira basically another player that was going to not necessarily be a 9, you just have way too many players playing the exact same roles, and you don't have enough playing one like Jordan, where there is a bigger need to come up with a better strategy. So at times I do question the way some of these things kind of came about. Now I know that Ferreira was obviously on a deal and he kind of fell on their laps and all these things. So I'm hoping that there is a way to help him grow and kind of break down. And he talked about it. He said, look, I started off slow in Dallas, and then, I heard some criticism, and then I broke out. He talked about, that he can do both roles right now. He just got to remember that there's other players that does what he does. So there is an adaptation. I'm hoping that works out, because I do feel like he has enough speed, enough talent, enough of an IQ to figure it out and play a lot higher and look at some tape and said, hey, man, look, this is your usual reaction. This is where you usually gravitate. This is where your instinct leads you. Now you got to do opposite of that and maybe get a little higher, maybe get a little wider, make a run to this space rather than this space. So there is a coachable component that I'm hoping that is going to happen with Ferreira in order to just maximize your roster, because having Ferreira play where he's playing does not maximize the break or the build of this roster. So I'm hoping that there is a little bit more done to get him going at the 9. A couple of last things that I did want to mention about the Dallas game. Very encouraged about King Kihi coming in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Jackson Reagan out with a hamstring. It's tough. I have no insight on where that's at. But hamstrings usually 2 to 3 weeks, right? So at the bare minimum, Kim Ki did look good. That was a positive. I thought that he looked confident. I thought that he looked fit. His instincts on the ball were all there. Dallas, again, not the most dangerous team up front, so we'll see how that works out. They didn't really press Seattle, but that was interesting. Danny Leyva, I thought it was very good when he came on. Distribution-wise, set pieces, he puts a dime for Reed to get a header that ended up on a post that could have been another goal for Seattle. So good on him. But a concern of mine in terms of that rotation or lack thereof is the pivot. I thought that Joe Pablo should have came on when the game was over in San Diego for a guy like Christian Roldan, where you want to save those legs because he does so much for you. He will go. He's kind of like Ozzy, where you got to save him from himself. Again, I know that there is a whole department that deals with exhaustion and overexertion and how much you're going and putting into players, but I would have liked to see more Joao Pablo used over this last couple of games, including the one that just passed, because I do worry about overcooking a guy like Christian Roldan, maybe even a guy like Ovid Vargas. But that was the only thing that I wish would have been done a little bit different, but more encouraging signs than discouraging ones. And going into a home game at Nashville with potentially a new player and an exciting player at that, I think all things considered, it's a good moment that Seattle could use to kind of switch the momentum of the season, correct the course, and start heading in the right direction.
Just the last thought for me on the Ferreira discourse, because I see some of the takes flying around in chat. The thing that's so frustrating to me about this is I liked the process that went behind the trade, because we are talking about a proven track record. Judging attackers is actually pretty simple a lot of the time. Like we can talk about the the ball knowledge that we've got as to who fits where and who plays what position. You literally, to judge attackers, pretty much you look at the stat sheet, okay? And if you look at the stat sheet, Jesus Ferreira has 53 goals in the league. So if you're talking about how like you knew that this wasn't going to work ahead of time because like you know that he's a bad and worthless player, how did he have 53 goals in the league? You got to explain that. Because if you have 53 goals in the league, that's literally like statistically proven that you can play and produce in the league. And the fact that it's so hard to fit him specifically in, now it is two teams like now where he's had these same issues of exactly what position he plays and exactly how he fits. But you do have to acknowledge the flip side of it, which is that he has been very productive in the league. You can't even just say that it was the 2022 one-off. He's had other good seasons, other good productive seasons besides that. And if you look at the totality of his career, it's literally like statistically provenly good and productive. So like saying that he is just a bad and worthless player is literally like mathematically false. That doesn't mean that it's been great so far, like here in Seattle. That's not what I'm saying. I think we've been pretty clear that it has not worked so far, and they have not figured out how to unlock him, how to use his skill set, and they need to do that for this trade to be considered successful. I'm with you, Nico. Like I still think that you got to run it more because Jesus Ferreira himself brought up that it took a while, that best 11 season at FC Dallas, for him to get going. So like I said, I can live with that for now, but like we got to see it in the next few weeks as the amount of reps and training that they all get together increases. Like you can't lean on that really that much going forward. This is about the time frame, I would say, where that stops holding water. So I don't know. It's just frustrating because I know the guy can play. I've watched him his whole career, watched him from the very beginning of his FC Dallas career. He scored a ton of goals in the league. So there is a way to do this. There's a way to do this. You just got to figure it out. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not just the stats. I'll keep it short, but it's also the eye test. He's always passed the eye test. He's had plenty of scouts looking at him. He's made to a national team level caps. I mean, he's a guy that is a good player.
Oh, I got chat going. They're not happy about that.
That's right. Look, he's a good player.
Explain how he's got 53 goals in the league. Explain it. Explain how you can be bad at soccer and score 53 goals in MLS. Explain it. Seriously, explain it.
Again, I think it's more about where he fits and how you use him. And that's the issue here. Again, he was a lot more likely to do the things that fit his skill set in Dallas because he was the only one doing it. He said it himself. Here, there's so many people that are occupying some spaces that is difficult. So if there's got to be any criticism, it might be because of the roster built and the way he's being used. But he is a talented player. There's no doubt about that. And again, I'm not a stats guy, and the stats are there. But if you want to look at just the eye test, the guy is a quality player. I see it in practice all the time. There is a bunch of moments in his career where he's looked legit. No one is saying he's a bad player. Oh, there it is. Well, he's not
literally saying that. People are literally saying that. You're incorrect about that. That's what people are saying. What? Like that's what's at issue is that people are saying that that the player is not good. Like so I don't know what you're talking about.
But I'm going to put it in the coaching stuff. Again, I feel like if you have a guy that is talented, that has the physical capabilities, that has the soccer IQ, you can mold him into playing your system. I just honestly feel like before the Jordan Morris injury, you were not doing enough to get him acclimated to play there. And I think that Brian did see him a little bit deeper prior to the Areola injury, prior to a whole bunch of things. And after it all kind of came about, now you need him more than ever to play a little bit higher because of who you brought on in Ryan Kent, because of the way Pedro de la Vega is playing. So I hope that that's the case. And I hope that Preki and Juarez and Brian Smetzer really get together and he's like, man, look, we need to have a session about how we get this guy going here because that's where we need him to play.
Bernardo, sorry I missed your super chat. I got sidetracked with the Ferreira takes. Nico, he wants to know, was Ryan in training this week? He might mean last week or
Last week he missed 2 days because of the trip to Vancouver. I expect he'll be at the training facility today. So we'll see. According to what I heard, he obviously is doing workouts on his own. He did do workouts on his own, but we'll give you any updates today because it's 8:34. By the time is 11:30, 12. We should have news on it. But I'm keeping a close eye on him. I got magnifying glass right on top of him, and I'll give you guys what I see and observe today.
Brother, it's not cope to point out stats. I'm literally just pointing out like what like the track record in his career. And like I think we've been more than clear on this show, both Nico and myself, that it hasn't worked so far. Like I don't think anyone who watches this team has any illusions about that. But if we're talking about what we're talking about is the possibility of whether or not it can work, and because that's the most important thing to be talking about right now is like, can this work at all?
And that it would be a mistake to pull the plug right now.
It would be, yeah, exactly. It would be a mistake to pull the plug entirely on match day 8. Like I understand we all watch every game, and I definitely share the frustration of watching it so far. But I do think if you're rationally looking at a player of his track record and the production that he has in this league, it's equally silly to just call it an entirely a failure after 8 match days.
No, absolutely. I agree. I think that's a poor take. I think that is actually unreasonable for a player that has been at one organization his whole life, a player that have to change his entire style of play, that now understands that he can no longer do the things that he used to do that used to make him good. He's got to worry about a new system, a new set of players that do or do not understand him on the field. You got to regain that. You got to do that in a short period of time, because before the Jordan Morris injury, he wasn't getting enough competitive minutes. So it's all a process, man. So let's chill. And look, we know, and I've been on record saying that the U22 that's coming in the summer will be a striker. There's no two ways about it. But you still got to hope that although that guy, yes, he's going to come in and work out, you still need Ferreira to have been a guy that you could rely on. Otherwise, you are putting too many expectations on a brand new player that, for better or for worse, regardless of who the player is, because I hear a lot about everybody wanting a Joveljic here. Joveljic's first year was not as good as his other years. So you got to be ready for that learning curve. You got to be able to adapt them. And in all of those situations, you need Ferreira to be good or semi-good at playing the 9.
I can't wait for a U22 striker to come in, and he's not going to be scoring goals right away. And that's going to be some good discourse. Bernardo, another $5 super chat. Thank you very much for the support this morning, man. What do we call this anti-Jesus Ferreira brigade? The platoon. I mean, yeah, the brigade, that brigade, it's new brigade. I'm pretty sure it's like the same people in the Rusnak brigade are in this brigade. I got him riled up this morning. That's fine. We can we welcome disagreement around here. It
absolutely
makes for good content.
We'll see. Friction makes fire, man. We like fire. I like fire.
I would be surprised. Well, I don't know if Ferreira is ever going to be the best 11 version of Jesus Ferreira on this team. I don't know. I would be pretty surprised if it doesn't get better than what it is now, and he doesn't at least start banging in a few goals for this team. I think and I'm coming at it from the perspective of someone who's been watching a lot of him play for his entire career. So, I mean, I know for a fact that he can be effective in the league. I think you guys, not all you guys, but some of you guys have literally only really watched him play on Seattle. So you're looking at it and being like, oh, he hasn't scored a goal yet. And because I have superior ball knowledge, I know that it's never going to work. but you don't like we don't know that yet. That's what we're gonna find out. And I fully acknowledge like I maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it just never clicks. Maybe it never works. Maybe he never scores a single goal for the Seattle Sounders, and the whole trade is a bust. That is definitely a possible outcome based on what we've seen so far, but I'm not gonna call it yet. I'm not gonna call it on match day 8. All right, Nico, let's talk about Nashville SC a little bit, maybe some CCC to wrap it up, because I did want to talk about the Whitecaps and Inter Miami series a little bit. But let's talk about this Nashville SC team, because they are the next opposition for the Seattle Sounders at Lumen Field. And I admittedly haven't watched them all that much this year, but I know they're off to an okay start. They're 4-3-1 with 13 points, 6 in the East. They've taken results in 4 out of their 5 home matches. They're 1-2 on the road. And they're dealing with a pretty significant injury right now. Walker Zimmerman had a really scary injury. Their captain, center back, U.S. national team center back. He got kicked in the face really hard on a bicycle kick a couple weeks ago. So he's not going to be playing this game. But, you know, when you're talking about Nashville SC, I feel like you're talking about Hani Mukhtar. That's basically who you're talking about. And Sam Sturridge is playing a little better. They got a decent number 9, number 10 combo there. But I don't know. To me, so far, they seem like pretty much the same Nashville as the last few years. Solid, but not elite. Do you see them any differently?
Yeah, I think they're better offensively. I think BJ Callan has done a great job at utilizing what he has in guys like Yule and Mukhtar and Surridge. There's still a little bit more of that build-up to be improved. But look, Sam, I believe, he right now already is the leading scorer all time for Nashville. 16 goals. He's been that good. He has 2 this season. He's tied for most goals with Mukhtar, of course. But I think that overall, he's a guy that is not just a target type of striker. I think his movement is very good, and I think that could provide some issues for Seattle here and there. Against RSL, which is the game that I just watched this weekend, RSL started pretty good. They really put them on their heels. They started scoring, and I think they took advantage of a team that can be vulnerable to counterattacks and in transition moments because their midfield is not just aggressive in their positioning, but at times I don't think that they have that player that can be rangy enough to either slow down counterattacks, because that's job number 1. It's not just getting the ball back, but at least slowing it down. And they don't really have that at the moment. And not having a guy like Zimmerman that can kind of push and be able to be selective on when maybe to be that guy that gets a little bit higher to stop those transition moments from happening. That's been an issue. They're very good on set pieces, both because of the players they have offensively, but the players that take those set pieces. So a guy like Mukhtar, you could put it away anytime that you want.
Yep.
But a lot like Dallas, I am optimistic of them not necessarily having the tools that make it difficult for Seattle. They're not a high-pressing team. They are a team that doesn't really rely on transition. There's not a lot of speed out wide. So because of that, I'm optimistic that Seattle can come up with a good result here at home.
When you're playing Nashville SC, if you can, it's honestly a little bit similar to what they were just doing with Dallas and Lucho Acosta. Like, they have one guy. Like, they have one guy who can really hurt you. And then, I mean, they have a number 9 that is dependent on the main guy. So if you're able to limit the influence of the number 10, in this case, Hani Mukhtar, on the game, that's their whole operation. It's been their whole operation literally since they got into the league. They go, all right, give it to number 10, let him run around and like do some cool stuff, and he'll either get an assist or a goal, and that's our game plan. BJ Callahan is their coach, and people who follow the U.S. national team might remember BJ Callahan as the guy who he was the interim coach after Berhalter, right? That was the whole thing. And then the team actually started playing pretty good under BJ Callahan. And I still think it's funny that people gave him as much credit for that as they did, because there's really, he was the coach for like 5 games or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, they looked pretty good, but it was literally the same players and same tactics as Berhalter. There was like literally, what was the difference between the BJ Callahan era and when Berhalter coached the team? I know people like came up with a narrative that it was BJ Callahan is this coaching guru for how the team looked. But I'm not so sure I ever subscribed to that. That was a little bit of a tangent there, but I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on BJ Callahan?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think that he has provided this team with a better offense. We always knew that Nashville was a team that was going to be solid in the back, was going to be disciplined, hard to break down. But offensively, I feel like they do a very good job at getting from point A to point B. They want to keep the ball very, Berhalter-ish. But whenever they do need to be quick on the attack, they can do that. They're actually 4th in XG in the league, which if you're a stat guy, there you go.
I saw they were. I saw a stat that they were first. It might have been a different stat. It was like expected goals created or something that was slightly different than XG. I don't know, but like I think sorry to cut you off, but like I think the point there is that sort of the story of their season so far is that their chance generation has actually been quite good. They've been playing good ball on offense. And as much as I kind of might have undersold BJ Callahan right there, it seems like if you look at a stat like that, and then what I have seen of them on the eye test, they're playing pretty good ball on offense, just not finishing. They sound kind of like the Seattle Sounders of the last couple years in that regard. But that makes them kind of dangerous, I think, I
think they're a good team. I really do. Again, I do feel like they play to Seattle's strengths. And just like you saw with Peter Musa going into this game, I knew that a guy like Yamar benefits from playing a guy that wants to be in certain positions and wants to be physical, because that's his game. That's what Yamar's going to do. So he's had a really good record against Peter Musa. I feel like same goes for Sam Surridge. What he wants to do, I feel like that's what Seattle capitalizes on. Whenever you have that really quick 9 that comes in and out, that's where Seattle at times struggles, because they do get so high. In this one, I feel like they have a really good chance at eliminating that. But sticking with Nashville, I've only really watched 90 minutes of 2 of their games. The Charlotte game, where I thought they were better than Charlotte in the entirety of that game. They just get caught up on not capitalizing, which I guess, like you said, sometimes it might sound like the Sounders. They let them stay in the game the whole time, and then they get burned in the 90th minute. And then this RSL game, where there was an offside position that I thought was also iffy, that could have made it 2-2 for RSL. And because of that, you let Nashville stay in the game, and Nashville ends up capitalizing on I don't know if it was soft. I think that it was a PK. Palacios is a little bit, I don't know if reckless or just not intelligent, and hits Mukhtar in the back, creates the moment, and then Sam Surridge and Mukhtar kind of fight over the ball, and Sam Surridge puts it away. So if anything, Seattle needs to make sure that they do kill this game, that if they do get opportunities, they put them away. Because if you let this team stay in the game, per what I've seen of them this season, they're going to try to capitalize, and they're going to do it off of set pieces here and there. I also thought that Lewis, who does the equalizer for Real Salt Lake, should have been sent off. There's a little bit of an elbow situation that I think should have been a red card, but then it isn't. So again, this Nashville team, if you don't make them pay, they're going to pay you back by equalizing or beating you at the end of the game.
I'm going to hit a couple in chat here. Shad says, BJ has Nashville's system looking good, but Mukhtar has been a shell of himself, and they've struggled converting chances. See, that's kind of that's interesting, because I can't say that I follow them enough to really know one way or the other where Mukhtar's stock is at, but I do know that last year it was considered not up to the perennial MVP candidate standards that he set for himself during his time in this league. And basically, from what I'm hearing from you, Nico, and from Shad right there in chat, he's not really up to that standard so far this year either. So that, I mean, if they can't figure that out, that's going to limit their ceiling right there and makes them, I would say, a more vulnerable opponent than they would be in past years where, I mean, when we're talking about raw talent, Mukhtar has been up there with the best of them in the league for the last, 5 years? So they got to figure that out. I would say that. James said the BJ Callahan era is the most entertaining soccer the USMNT played in eons. Can you like what did he do like that was different? That's what I never understood about that. Like,
I don't think Greg Berhalter gets enough credit for.
Ooh, this is gonna be a good take.
He just said entertaining. I thought that this U.S. men's national team in the World Cup was entertaining. Did they get the results? No, I'll admit that they didn't get the results. There should have been a lot of games in that World Cup that they should have finished. They should have scored. Again, I don't think that this U.S. men's national team has a really good 9, and that was kind of the issue with that specific team. And I still think that is kind of the issue now. But
it's supposed to be Balogun, but I don't know if he's good actually.
But I think Berhalter doesn't get enough credit. And BJ kind of went along with that, and he's part of that tree. I mean, if you're talking great about BJ, you got to talk good about Greg Berhalter because he's fallen off of that coaching tree.
People are going to get on you for that, saying that about Berhalter. This team under Pochettino, I like to call him Pocatino and then shorten it to Poke. This team under Poke is horrendous. Like,
yeah, not good right now.
Like horrible. Berhalter was wronged. He was onto something. They gave into fan pressure. They gave it to this to this big name guy who I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know what he's doing. But anyway, I don't want to get on a USMNT tangent. I did a whole stream about that. If you want to hear my thoughts on that.
All right.
Nico, I know you said that you had to get out of here around 9 today, so let's we can start the wrap up process. If anyone's got any last topics or questions they want to hit in chat, feel free. But what I wanted to close with you, Nico, was some CONCACAF Champions Cup, and specifically this Vancouver Whitecaps Inter Miami matchup that we now have, and this is a much more blockbuster matchup than I would have ever thought. I think it's obviously no shock to anybody to see Messi and the Barca boys in the CCC semifinals. That would have been more surprising than not if they hadn't made it that far. But Nico, I think this Whitecaps team might just be like the team of destiny. They are going off right now. They look like the best team in the league. They're leading the Shield race, I believe, and they're coming off a league game where it was one of the most one-sided MLS games I have ever seen, period. They dropped 5 on Austin FC. Brian White scored 4. And they put up 4.09 XG. Did you see that?
Yep.
It was one of the top 20 XG outputs since they started like tracking it in 2013 or something like that. Like it doesn't get much more one-sided than that. And the Whitecaps don't just look like a fun little Cinderella, like punching above their weight, scrappy type team. They look like a freaking buzzsaw right now, which is not what anyone would have called going into the season. And I just think it's so funny, like the way this stuff gets talked about sometimes. Like the best number 9 in the league right now is Brian White, a 2018 MLS Super Draft pick of the New York Red Bulls who went to Duke. Probably wasn't even guaranteed to play pro soccer like when he was coming out of college. Gets super drafted, has a pretty good career. Last couple years for Vancouver, he's legitimately looked like one of the best strikers in the league. This year, he looks like the best striker in the league. And you look at Atlanta United. They dropped $22 million on Latte Loth. They spent billions of whatever in transfer fees over the offseason. They're off to the worst start in franchise history. So, I mean, another example of how the transfer fee only matters so much. It's about how you use your money. It's about how you team build. It's about how the pieces fit together. It's about so much more than just money. And like, there is no greater proof of that than looking at the Vancouver Whitecaps versus Atlanta United. Nico, what do you think of what's rocking with Vancouver right now? It's so out of nowhere.
It is out of nowhere. And the crazy part is that they're doing it without Ryan Gold.
Scottish Messi.
It's crazy.
He's hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think that Jasper Sorensen, as much as I do want to credit Sartini, because I think he built a lot of the columns and the concepts and honestly the validity of a lot of this roster. Jasper was able to take that, build on it, and quickly put together what he wanted to see. And now this team is just as good, if not, no, let's say they're even better offensively, but they're just as good defensively. And I think that they have one of the most underrated midfields in the MLS. Pedro Vite is a monster. And if you haven't seen him play, if you haven't put your eye on him, check him out, because that dude is all over. He does so many things right. He's so balanced, so good on the ball. Cubas is your disruptor, is the guy that does all the dirty work, the guy that you might not see in the stat sheet, but that makes this plan work. I think Ocampo, it's the perfect solution for what they want to do with the fullback position or wingback position, depending on how they play. He's so good getting forward. He's so consistent with his crossing inside the 18. So all in all, I mean, this team is the highest scoring team, the highest XG team. They just looked the part. And Austin, although they had some irregularities, they were a pretty good team in the West, considered a pretty good team in the West. Horrible. And they dismantled them. I mean, White should have 5. And he didn't, just because he didn't decide to take a PK. But, man, I mean, this team just seems to be all in every game. Going to CCC, they eliminate Pumas at the end of the game. But it wasn't just because that's how it happened. In the first leg, they almost win that first leg because they were all in to the very last minute. And the same cross that Ocampo had in the first leg that was saved by the Pumas goalkeeper in the second one goes in. Blackman puts it away. But it's the systematic and design of how they play and how they're in every single minute of every game. It's to be applauded.
Yeah, their vibes are incredible right now. Like you mentioned that Blackman goal in CCC, and JP said it in chat right here. How are the Whitecaps playing this good with CCC and injuries, and we couldn't do the same? It is hard to watch them right now and not feel like, damn, like it used to be Seattle doing that stuff. Those vibes used to be here, and now. But you know, I'm happy for Whitecaps fans to get to experience a run like this, because they put in a lot of time of their team being mid to bad. And I expected them to be like a 1.5, I guess, points per game team this year, but like, goddamn, they are, I mean, like you said, man, they look the part. Like it doesn't look like a fluke kind of thing where they're punching above their weight and it's going to come crashing down. It looks like Axel Schuster, their sporting director. I think that's another one that you got to shout out there, because he's been saying the last couple years, like we know what we're doing. We're building towards something. We've got our identity. We've got our centerpieces. We just have to figure it out. He's been preaching patience, and I think a lot of their fans and media were not having that. And it's looking like that he was right. So credit to them, man. Credit to them. A couple super chats, last super chats here. Thank you guys for the support. Much appreciated. Matt says, sounds like similarities between De La Vega and Kent in pace, passing, and scoring so far. Nico, what have you seen in training that separates them?
Fantastic question. I would say that I still think that Pedro De La Vega will look to distribute and slip players through a little more than Ryan will. I think that Ryan wants to get forward, wants to be a little bit more in front of goal. He is more willing to stay in the white lane than De La Vega. De La Vega will free range a little more. He'll cut inside a lot more often, and that's why he takes those shots from inside the 18. I think that the biggest difference between them two is that Ryan is more of a vertical player, if you will, and he will be the guy that, in my opinion, will stretch out defenses a little bit more than Pedro in that sense. He wants to be the widest player on the field when it comes to his offensive talent, but they are very similar in skill sets, right? And they're finishing with both legs. They're both ambidextrous. They're both good on the ball. They both want to take on players. They both want to beat you off the dribble. They're looking for the 1v1. They're not thinking about a 1v1. They're looking for it. They're looking to see how they can exploit you in that sense. But yeah, I think that the biggest difference between them two, if I had to choose one, is just that Ryan wants to be more on the outside, and Pedro La Vega is always going to be a little bit more free-rangey, want to cut inside, maybe might drop a little more. I think that Ryan's a guy that always wants to stay vertical. But yeah, that's kind of what I've seen so far. But both, I'm telling you, talent-wise, very similar. The pedigree of both is clearly there in every single practice. Maybe Ryan has a better first touch. The way he gets on the ball, his turns are a little bit more purposeful. But I think that also goes into the style of play, more European than South American. South American is going to be a little bit more flary and maybe does things a little bit different. Ryan is a little bit more vertical.
Great analysis there, Nico. Bernardo coming in with a $5 super chat again. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Belgian league became a feeder league for MLS. Yeah, it did. And it's funny because every year someone grabs their golden boot winner, and it actually has not been hitting that hard. Like there was Van Zier, and there's another one that I'm blanking on that also didn't go that well. So that's the thing, man. Like you can spend $20 million every year on the golden boot winner from Belgium. It's not guaranteed to work. Like there's more to it than that. All right, Nico, I think we can call it right there. We're past an hour here. So thanks for getting this Tuesday episode in. Great catching up with you. Some good takes and discourse this morning. So we'll be back next week on Monday, same time, back to the normal schedule, but appreciate everyone bearing with us this week. Nico, I'm going to stay on and plug a couple things real quick, but you're welcome to jet.
Sounds good, man. Thanks again for putting it together, for getting back on time, for doing it on little sleep. Appreciate all the audience, all the comments. Like Ari said, we appreciate the discourse. We want you to not run with our takes. If you have a different one, bring it on. We'll talk about it.
Not only do we not mind it, we actively welcome it. We
encourage it.
Encouraged. All right,
man. Have a good one.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Nico was saying right there. Like, I like the back and forth. If you ever disagree with our takes, like, always feel free to drop it in chat. You know, the person who accused us of coping, and I denied it. Yeah, it is cope. It is cope right now with Jesus Ferreira. That's what we do here. We cope and we rationalize when things aren't going well. Denial. Have you ever heard of denial? That's what I'm in. Let me live in denial. But no, in all seriousness, good discussion this morning. Good spirited takes, and I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Wanted to plug a couple things before I get out of here. First of all, we got like 80 people in chat or watching still. Like the video. It pumps us in the algo, pumps our views, helps the show a lot. Like the video right now. If you haven't liked the video, go back and like other videos. Like every video. Sub to the channel if you haven't subbed to the channel. And then, but this is the most important plug. Noah and I are going to be at Starfire for Tacoma Defiance versus Oakland Roots Open Cup tonight. They are setting us up with a space at Watershed Pizza at Starfire, which if you've ever been there, I think it's in the main little building there, like when you're walking to the fields. We're going to be set up there with our podcast gear and recording a live show. I don't know if the idea is for a big audience to show up, but if you want to come watch, hang out with us, ask questions, feel free to pop by Starfire. We're going to have Henry Bronner, who's like the director of youth development, all this stuff with Obed Vargas, RBW, all the kids that have been coming up through the academy these last few years. Henry Bronner is one of the main architects of that. So excited to talk to him. And we're going to be doing that live at Starfire tonight, starting around 5:30 is the plan. And we're going to just hang out, talk some ball, and then go watch Tacoma Defiance Oakland Roots Open Cup. So if you don't have any plans tonight, stop by. If you were planning on going to the game tonight, stop by. So I'll see you guys out there tonight at Starfire. Thank you for tuning in to the belated Lobbing Scorchers kickoff and bearing with my my fluid schedule this weekend. It was tough, but we got the content out. But all right, I'm gonna get out of here on that. Starfire tonight. Everyone be there. All right, peace.
The Seattle Sounders' brand new 2025 kit is here. Inspired by two traditional Southern Coast Salish weaving techniques, twilling and twinning. These techniques, passed down through generations, honor the resilience, deep-rooted ties, and creativity that define the cultural fabric of this region. The striking deep blue jersey will be worn by the Sounders for the next 2 seasons to honor the club's deep connection with the Puget Sound and shared responsibility as stewards of the greater Salish Sea watershed. Backing up that commitment, the Seattle Sounders will donate up to $50,000 to benefit community charities around the Puget Sound region. To get your very own Salish Sea kit, visit lobbingscorchers.com/kit. That's lobbingscorchers.com/KIT.